So we're just gonna do this. We're just gonna do this because we have to be comfortable talking with each other. That's it. We have to be we have to be comfortable. So my experience with getting into the corporate world, it probably, I don't know if it's like, to give you some context, like I was a first gen college student, and I graduated with a 4.0. I was a really great student, honestly. Like I loved school and I was good at it, and I like got a lot of praise from a lot of professors. Like, I know that sounds like I'm bragging and that sounds so ugly, but genuinely that's just to give you context. That's who you're speaking with today. And so, but because of the fact that I'm a first gen college student, like I did not get, I mean, I have a lot of privilege in life. I don't want to say that I don't, but for majority of my counterparts and my peers, compared to them, I did not have as many privileges as them. You know, like I had to pay for my own school. I had to work while I was in school. Like there was a lot of things that a lot of people don't have to deal with because they just come from money or whatever it may be, or whatever. And my circumstances were a little bit different. And so I don't know if the way that I got into it is usual for people that are privileged, but basically I got an internship when I was a junior in college. And I got this internship at a time where I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I had went to school to study psychology, and my junior year, and the thing is that I remember when I was a freshman and I was choosing my major, I told myself, I was like, I do not want to be the person that like decides to change their major and then they have to like stay in school longer, or like I was just like very much like, I don't want to go back on my word. Like I want to study psychology, so I'm going to study psychology. Like nothing's going to stop that from happening. Like I know that this is what I want to do. This is what I'm sure of. Blah, 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 blah. So I go to school, junior year comes around, and I realize, shit, like I don't want to do this. And I don't really know if people care the reason why I didn't want to do it anymore, but really it's like tales of this time. Like I realized that maybe I needed the therapy and not so much giving it to other people. And also one thing that I want to mention is like, I loved psychology. Like one thing that I do say, and one thing that I will always say is that, you know, I knew that going to school was always a dream of mine. Like I always wanted to go to school because I don't know, it was just like something that was like put into me, or like just a goal of mine that I had always like dreamt about or wanted since I was very young, like going to school. And so for me, like if I wanted to go to school, psychology would have been the only thing that I would have wanted to go to school for. Like, and I tell people like all the time, like I didn't go to school because I wanted to get a job out of it. Like I went to school because I wanted to learn. I went to school because of the opportunity of itself, or it presented itself to me. Like it just worked out for me to be able to go. And honestly, that's how I can say a lot of the things in my life have happened, and I genuinely don't know why. Like I don't know, like God just has my back. He has me. Like I don't know why I've been so blessed in life for things. Like I know that I put a lot of work into it. Like I'm not gonna just give all of my praise to an outside force, because I know that I did a lot of it. But in reality, like sometimes I really think about the fact that so many great things have happened to me, and like I don't get it. Like I don't understand. But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I just always wanted to go to school. And so psychology would have been the major I would have chose regardless. So here I am in my junior year being like, okay, well, I don't want to be a psychologist anymore, because I was like, I had a full plan. Like I was gonna go to school for 8 years. Like I knew what I wanted. Junior year comes around and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. Like this isn't for me. Like it was just like, and I was so upset with myself, because I was like, how could I be this person? Because I told myself when I went to school, I wasn't going to do this, and I ended up doing it. I ended up being the person that went back on their word, and that was really frustrating for me. But here I am, my junior year, rethinking my entire life, like genuinely rethinking my entire life. And I'm rethinking everything, and I'm thinking about all of the things that I ever wanted in life. Like, it was like the first time in probably ever, where I had really genuinely thought about what I wanted to do with my life here. Like, it's so funny because I think about, like, whenever I was in high school, I want to say, like, when I was like, I feel like sophomore, junior year of high school is usually when people start putting the idea of, like, going to school in your head and, like, thinking about what you're gonna want to do when you graduate, and, like, what school you're gonna want to go to when you graduate, things like that. And so I think that ever since that moment on, I kind of knew that I was gonna choose psychology, and so I didn't really think about anything else for myself. And it's so funny that when you're that young, and, like, you're like 15, or you're like 16, 17, whatever that age, and, like, you're already being, like, given these ideas of what you need to do with the rest of your life. And I feel like that's so silly, honestly. Like, looking at it now, and, like, even if you are some high schooler watching this, like, I don't even know if a high schooler even fucking wants to watch this. Probably not, because they don't give a fuck, they don't even know about any of this yet. And that's fine, like, good for you. Like, it's just so crazy. Like, whenever you're like 15, you think you have your whole life figured out, and then you get to, like, in your 20s, and you're like, you actually literally genuinely have zero idea of what you're gonna do with your life. And it's really scary, and also really exhilarating and exciting and terrifying and everything all at once. So but like I was saying, I had that idea of wanting to be a psychologist, like, since I was so young. And so I hadn't, up until that moment when I was a junior, I hadn't thought about what I wanted to genuinely do with my life, like, genuinely wanted to do with my life, since I was, like, a junior in high school, from whenever I decided, I wanted to study psychology. And so that's 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's like five-ish years of just, like, forgetting that I'm, like, a human being, and I have dreams, and I have other outside ambitions that are not based off of a 16-year-old's brain. And so I'm there, and I remember I might have journaled about it, honestly. Like, I probably have journal entries about it, but, like, I remember thinking, or I remember going through the thought process of, like, just thinking back to my life and thinking about all the dreams that I had. Like, I think that from as long as I could remember, like, from when I was a kid, and when I say a kid, I mean, like, 5 years old, I remember, like, having the dream of, like, becoming famous. Like, I remember wanting to be famous. Like, I remember, like, that was the thing. Like, when people asked me, like, what I wanted to do when I grew up, or what I wanted to be when I grew up, like, all I knew was I wanted to be, like, famous. I wanted to be a pop star. I wanted to be, like, on the screens. Like, that's what I wanted. And it was so funny because, when you're a kid, like, you don't know shit about anything. And so I remember growing up a little bit, not growing up, but, like, maybe, like, a couple years, like, maybe I was 8 or 9, I don't know. And, like, I would ask people, or, like, I would ask adults, like, what did you want to be when you grew up, like, whenever you were my age? And they would say things like a doctor, or a veterinarian, or, like, a nurse, or a firefighter. I don't know, like, they would just say those basic things. And it was in those moments when I had realized, like, what I wanted in life was very different than what the majority of people wanted, honestly. Like, when I went into middle school, I wanted to be a movie producer. Like, that was something, like, I loved videos, I loved editing videos, I loved the idea of starting them from start to finish. I loved being able to finish the video and being, like, I don't know, like, I love the idea of directing it and figuring it out and being behind the camera, not in front of it. Like, there's just a lot of things like that in life where I enjoyed it. And then, yeah, like I said, I grew up some more, and I made it to high school, and that's when I kind of realized, like, oh, well, I guess I need to actually think about what I want to do with my life. And so I chose psychology. But when I was a junior in college and I was rethinking everything, I thought about the fact that, when I was a kid, I wanted to be famous, and I liked filming videos, and I liked editing things, and I had all these really wide, large dreams of mine. And it was thinking about all of that, when I was a junior, and like, it was honestly like probably one of the most freeing things I could have done for myself. As like I said, I had been so sure that whenever I went to college, my mind wasn't going to change. I was going to stick with what I chose, and that was going to be it. And so to be able to allow myself to step back and like think about life from such a like bird's eye view, something that at that moment I wasn't familiar with when it came to my career, or whatever it may be. And I do want to say that this may not align with a lot of people. Like, there might be people out there that are already like this, and they already like are very self-aware and all that. I'm talking about the people that are like me, that are like very set on things and forget to like take a step back and look at it all. Anyways, and so in those moments, in that moment, I was kind of like reminded that I can do whatever I want. Like, life is not a linear thing, even though we're taught that it is, and like we're told that it is, and we live that way every day like it is. That it isn't a linear thing. It isn't something that needs to be done like this, and this. Like, honestly, that's really unrealistic. Or it's not that it's unrealistic, it's that if you decide to go that route with things, you are limiting yourself. And that's fine. Some people want to do that. Some people want that life, that and that's 1000% fine. I did not want that. And I realized, when I was a junior, that like I didn't want that life anymore. I didn't want to go that route. But again, like, this is a person that likes structure and likes a plan and likes to think ahead and likes, because I'm an INFJ, like I need it to be like thought through and analyzed, and I need to understand it, and it needs to make sense. And so being told now by myself that I don't need to do things that way, it was a freaking shock to my world, honestly. But anyways, and during this time is whenever I got my internship to this HR company, or this company that I would be part of the HR team. So I had this realization fall of my junior year, and I started this internship the spring of my junior year. So, when I entered this internship, I was kind of just like, okay, like, this is just gonna help me pay for school. Like, I have bills that need to be paid. Like, cool. Like, I didn't even care that it was an internship. It could have been fucking any job in the world, and I would have fucking taken it at that point, honestly, because I needed money. But it ended up being an internship, and it ended up being a really great one, and like I learned a lot, and I was paid pretty well, and I met a lot of people that I loved. And then I stayed there all the way until I graduated my senior year, and then they ended up offering me like a full-time position, and so I stayed there. And then a year after that, they like moved me to a different position, but I was getting paid more, which was nice. And so that's why it's like the way that I got into it was very different. But throughout the whole internship, I just kept thinking, or throughout my entire time working there or working here, I realized that, it's not that I didn't or that I realized, I had realized it before I even started the internship, but I had constantly been reminding myself that this isn't the life that I wanted, that I'm self-aware and I'm aware that this isn't what I want, and I know that I'm capable of so much more. And I know that this may come across as like conceited, and it probably, maybe it's confidence, I don't know. But I know that like I'm smart. Like I had got really great grades in school. Like I was very much externally validated by the education system. And which for some people that might sound like stupid, and like it probably is, but like genuinely, like I did have a lot of that external validation from school. And so I kind of just began, no, wait, what am I saying? Um, oh yeah, like I'm kind of in the place where like I know that I could do anything that I want to do in this life. I know I could do anything that I want to do. And I don't mean to say that as like I genuinely mean that. And it's frustrating because I feel like I've fallen into that 9 to 5 cycle that majority of Americans do, where they're, just falling into this cycle of just living for the weekend and like living that life. And it couldn't be further from what I could ever want in life. Like it really genuinely couldn't. Like I crave freedom, I crave independence. And like I said, like this is gonna sound so fucked up, and like I know people aren't gonna get this. Like there's gonna be a large majority of people that aren't gonna get this, but like I feel like corporate world is too slow for me. Like it's too. And the thing is like I know that there's jobs out there like where the people get paid a lot, like being a fucking CEO of a company. Like that's like big. Like I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's just not aligned with me. Like the corporate world is just it's not that trajectory of life, that pace of life, that frequency of life is just like not what's supposed to be mine. And I am saying this and I'm talking about this, yet it's so fucking frustrating because why won't I do anything about it? Why won't I do anything about it? Like, and I'm sure that there's a real answer. Like, I'm sure that there's someone across the screen that could tell me the answer. Like, maybe because I'm comfortable in where I'm at right now. And so, since I'm not in like a, what is it? Fight or flight situation, then I'm just gonna chill until it gets to that point. And that's probably what it is, but like that doesn't help. Like honestly, like figuring out the answer, it isn't helping at all. It's the how the fuck do I get out of it? Like how do I manifest the dreams that I've always wanted since I was since I was a young kid? I don't know. And it's, oh my gosh, it's genuinely frustrating because I just want to figure it out so bad.